Coming up next on the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota, the Cubs add a reliable reliever to a blank canvas on that bullpen. So what's the next move for the Cubs there? We'll talk about that. Plus, we'll take a look at some of the awards for the organization, top pitcher in the minor leagues, top player in the minor leagues, and we are grading one of the most popular Cubs. The report card for PCA is next on the CHGO Cubs podcast. Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by our friends at Toyota. Let's go places. It is Monday. We are closing in on Thanksgiving. We are thankful for at least a few playoff games this season for our Chicago Cubs. Luke Stuckmeyer, Joey Christopoulos. We are in what I like to call Studio C.
Studio Cubs.
Studio Cubs. Sean Anderson running the ones and twos. We've been told this is supposed to be the West Studio, Studio West. I don't like that.
Yeah, it's the only studio with a direction attached to it.
Yeah, I don't like that.
We went A, B, West.
So if we're in the other side of the building, we're Studio East. I don't think so. This is Studio C for Cubs.
Good, better, West. Never let it rest.
No.
Studio is B.
We got to come up with a good, better, best for this show. We got lots to talk about. The Cubs did make, I guess, their first legit move of the offseason. I don't know, I'd say Jed Hoyer is getting ahead of the market, but at least he's in on the market. Still lots of rumors going out there. There was a big trade over the weekend. It would have been bigger if they made this trade like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But it's still a big enough trade. And the more important part, how did it impact potentially what the Cubs might do and what teams in the National League might look like? Like, what is the next move from there? And the big report card that a lot of people have been waiting for, Pete Crow-Armstrong. How are we grading Mr. PCA in 2025? So the deal is the Cubs have this blank canvas, Joey, right? And I don't know what to really say about the bullpen. I guess that's the way you do it these days because it's unpredictable. We talked about it in the last podcast we did together. It was like, I don't know who you're necessarily adding, but I guess I trust the Cubs to do it, even though it seems like a difficult task to try and just rebuild your bullpen every season or twice a season or 3 times a season.
3 times the charm.
They found a lot of lightning in a bottle type deal last year. Tough press to do that 2 years in a row.
I will say this gambit, this journey that Carter and Jed like to put themselves on every single year in terms of remaking the bullpen over and over. At least with the signing that they did over the weekend, you can at least give them credit that they have at least some conviction, or at least some ideas of where they want to target and who they want to go out and target. It's one thing to say, well, let's see who falls into our lap, or let's see who gets non-tendered, or let's see whose price comes crashing down and we can get on the cheap and see if we can reclaim them. When it comes to Phil Maton with the Rangers, I think this is a move that hopefully is a good move for the Cubs, and I think that it truly is, but it at least says that Jed and them did their homework, went out and targeted a guy, and we can at least give them some sort of credit for a version of activity of trying to go out there and get a guy instead of waiting maybe for the market to dictate who they are. Like building a playlist, I don't think they're going out there and putting on all the biggest hits on the planet. This isn't a Devin Williams, Ryan Helsley type of move or even an Edwin Diaz. Maybe this is a little bit of a deeper cut, but I do like it, and I like to see the Cubs making some moves and take one more at least off the checklist of what they need to do this offseason.
I think what Phil Maton does is give you a little, hopefully, certainty in the bullpen, right? That's what we've been talking about. Like, they have so many young players that their success could come. It would be a hope. It would be a wish. It would be a benefit. It would be great. And that's what you really want to see. So maybe Maton's not He's not the guy that's going to throw 99 that we keep talking about.
He is not.
At all.
He's not.
He's a spin guy. Spin doctor, they like to say. Great band.
He's maybe more of a little miss than he is. If you.
So he's just a little more certainty. He's a guy that has shown multiple years that he can be a valuable piece of a bullpen. He is not going to be your closer. He is not probably going to even be your setup guy for the closer, but he's a guy that will get you some outs when you need him. And despite the fact that he doesn't throw hard, he is a swing and miss guy. He can, I went through I watched him strike out the side.
Yeah.
I saw the video. It happened.
The curveball is interesting.
And the curveball is not only interesting, it grabbed the attention of one pitch doctor, Brendan Miller. And when you catch the attention of the pitch doctor, Brendan Miller, Cubs related here on the CHGO Cubs podcast, Brendan will give you a graph. And he will give you a heat map. I don't know how he builds this stuff. I've seen Brendan on Twitter talking about that he's gone over 450 plays that Nico Hoerner made this season.
And it's not enough.
What is he doing? What else is he doing in his free time other than sleeping? Because 400 plays of Nico Hoerner. Wait till he gets a hold. And sure enough, Phil Maton gets acquired by the Cubs. They sign him to a deal, and there it is. He's got this pitch thing, and he's got it's one of the most unique curveballs. Is that what he says? Unique ability. Is that what he called it?
Maton's uniqueness score.
Excuse me.
And Sean, I'd like to have you weigh in on this really quick too, because you love this stuff and you're really good at it too. When you see this map, like, what are you taking away from it? When we say uniqueness score, how can we kind of break that down for the audience here in terms of what Maton's curveball brings to the table?
I tried to ask Brendan, how do you do this? And he didn't respond. So I can't explain it for Brendan. But at least looking at it, the idea is he's using StatCast data to plot both vertical movement and horizontal movement. Along with that, he talked about vertical approach angle and horizontal approach angle, and pretty much how easy is it to square up Phil Maton's curveball. And in a very unique way, he gets a ton of spin on it, causing a ton of both horizontal movement and vertical movement. So not only does it drop, it also moves to the right. So it's just very hard to square up. I can't really talk to VAA to the depths that Brendan can.
Nobody
but
can.
He pretty much grades out as a very sick, disgusting, nasty curveball.
Right, and I think what makes that graph and thanks, Sean. I think that's a good way of explaining it, because I see some Cubs fans saying, well, his fastball velocity is only 90.6. Mm-hmm. And trust me, I'm like leading the charge in that we have to get more high velocity. Right. But more importantly, I think the Cubs need to get more swing and miss in their bullpen. Maton provides that swing and miss with this incredibly unique curveball. And just looking at some of these numbers just from him last year on more of a broader surface level scale, like, where does this guy pitch? And where did he pitch in the Rangers bullpen last year? Well, he pitched 16 games in the 7th inning with a 0.73 ERA, only 12 innings, 14 Ks, not the biggest sample size. They used him a lot in the 8th inning of their games last year, 33 innings, 33 appearances, 3.38 ERA. And then that one now 29 and a third innings pitch with 38 Ks in that scenario. So I'm not advocating that Maton is now your setup guy in the 8th inning, but he has that experience to get high leverage outs. And if he can become a matchup nightmare for some of the guys that we've gotten excited about, when you talk about maybe a Ben Brown, if you can mix in a 98-mile-an-hour fastball with the curveball of Maton, you're providing a different look that can help you stretch 4 to 6 outs at a time. And hopefully that's what the Cubs are trying to do. And another reason why I like this move.
It's also the juxtaposition of how Craig Counsell will use him and when he will use him, right?
Right.
So if he's throwing a 90-mile-an-hour fastball and these big, breaking, crazy, loopy curveballs, then if you can find your 100-mile-an-hour guy, whether that's Palencia or maybe someone else we'll talk about here, now that even if you bring in a guy that's throwing 95, it looks like total gas because you just saw a 90-mile-an-hour fastball with this big looping curve. Now, the pitching ninja, also known as Rob Friedman and also known as Brendan's alter ego, I saw a tweet from him saying that he's showing a curveball from Maton, 3,389 RPM curveball. That's not. I don't know what that means, but Sean, is that good? I assume that's good.
Yes, if you can spin the ball over 3,000 RPMs, that is elite territory. I'll try to pull up the numbers, but yes, no.
Spin doctor. He's a spin doctor.
That's an absurd amount of spin.
Doctor. We got the pitch doctor, and now we've got the spin doctor.
Trademark nickname for Maton this year, by the way.
Print the shirt. Well, shirts going all over right Joe, but
Corey in the chat said, like, spin doctors is a great bullpen name. Like,
good one.
We really just got to lean into
Love it.
Yeah.
And what about a fantasy?
I also saw briefly in the
baseball, the spin doctors.
In the chat too, they also said this isn't Studio West. This could be Studio Fly the W.
Oh,
so that's also a nice throw in there too as
W
well.
I made that for the people on the YouTube channel getting to see that.
But at the end of the day, I like this for the Cubs.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have the numbers and we don't have the financials yet. He's 32 years old. And it seems like a guy that they've done their homework on, and I don't know if he had some sort of crazy market, right, where they had to beat somebody out for it.
Right.
But it isn't a bad idea. We've talked about the analogy.
Not Edwin Diaz.
Yeah. We've talked about the analogy of making your shopping list and getting it all done and going to the store. This is something they clearly wanted to target and acquire. Phil Maton had an interest in being a Chicago Cub. He brings a different pitch mix to the back of the bullpen. You can find, I think it's fair to say, and the Cubs maybe haven't done a good job of it, but if you look around baseball, it feels like it is easier to find higher velocity than it ever has before. It just depends on command and control and how straight that fastball is and what can you do with it. So if you can find a guy that's doing something a little bit different, and maybe throw some darts at some guys that throw a little bit harder and see who hits, maybe this is the type of move that's going to be good.
Just to further the point about spin, 11 players this year that qualified with amount of pitches had a curve over a 3,000 RPM. The leader, Phil Maton.
I see the spin
so there you go.
Right
so what
there.
you're saying?
So not only is he over 3,000, he's the leader.
He's got more spin on his curveball than anybody. It's uniqueness, right? And we're saying that even though it's awesome and we want it 98 to 100, that's not as unique as this is, right? And so if you could put it next to that and sandwich it in, like you said, with a Ben Brown, maybe it's Hodge, maybe Palencia, whoever. Now you've got something unique. You got some unique mixes. You got some different ways you can go depending on if you. Let's say the team has somebody that likes to hit gas. Straight fastball. Well, this is the guy you can have come in and face him and not be afraid.
Right. And if you're just saying like trade a guy in and bring another guy in for like, this is a good replacement for Andrew Kittredge, in my opinion.
I was going to say, who does this make you feel similar to them acquiring last year? Is it, I feel better about it than I do the Presley, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I don't want to get involved in like how Maton and Kittredge's stuff mesh together. But again, Kittredge was throw a ton of sinker, throw a ton of slider, and then do it again. Slinker, slider, sinker, slinker, slider, all that stuff. So I think you're going to get a lot of that from Maton, and I think he could be that type of piece that comes in. And if he's going to be cast as a role of all the different kinds of pieces they had in the bullpen last year, I think that is kind of a fair comparison of who they're trading out.
Now, I saw something. There have been other names of relievers. We know that the Cubs are going to have to add tons of pitching. They're going to have to find ways to add to the bullpen and the rotation. And so I wouldn't be surprised to see, just like last year, the minor league, spring training invitees. You'll see some of those flyers. That's not who Maton is. Maton's he's in the bullpen next year.
No, yeah, he needs to work.
Palencia's
we want him to
in the
work.
bullpen. I believe Ben Brown is in the bullpen, and I believe Assad is in the bullpen if they do it right. Yeah, Sean. Oh, I
was letting you finish your pitch. No, I was going to at least be courteous and let you finish your point.
I was just rambling as always.
Oh, okay. Well, I just to further it too, Soroka seemed to have not a unique slider to that point, but people really were interested in his slider, especially moving from a starter to a relief pitcher. So it does seem like the Cubs try to signal out a guy that has like that one unique pitch. Palencia has that cannon of a fastball. Nate Pearson was similar as well, just had an amazing fastball. Nothing else could really find the zone. I do wonder if they're looking for like signature pitches and that they can just improve the secondaries to kind of show off that first key pitch. Pomerantz the same way. Pomerantz was like the greatest lefty curveball ever.
Right, and he actually, I think they were pleasantly surprised with some of his velo on fastball too as well, in terms of left-hander and location too as well. So I think there's nothing wrong with it, right? You don't need everyone to throw 100. You don't want everyone to throw 90. You want a variety in there. And think about it too. Like, I know it's the winter time and you're like, what is this guy? Is this guy going to be dynamic? And then is he going to be amazing for us? Like, sometimes there's going to be games where he just needs to come in and get 2 outs. There's going to be games where he needs to come in and this curveball with the uniqueness score of 97 needs to come in and 98. Get a ground ball. And if you have a guy that you can trust to do that, if you have
98.
98. Yeah.
It was 97.
Oh, damn.
Aha.
97 in big red and yellow letters.
Right. Like it's a move that hopefully is going to pay larger dividends for the Cubs further down the road. I wish we were ringing the bell right now on a big ticket free agent pitcher or a hitter.
That's a tease because we're going to look at some names coming up next. And when we do, we'll talk about, like, maybe is there a flamethrower that goes with him that could still be added? A bigger name, right? Like, or maybe is it somebody under the radar who's coming back from an injury, which seems much more like a Cubs move in the bullpen, right? Like, they're looking at all those different ways. And we're still going to talk about the trade that happened involving the Mets and Rangers and how that might impact one former Cub who could have been maybe a once-again Cub. I don't think it's too likely, but it's a team the Cubs hopefully will be competing with next year.
You're going to have to draw this out way longer.
Sean wants me to.
I forgot to clip the ads.
Don't you worry about that.
Oh, we'll do ads when we're ready. So, do you want to do some Nimmo, Semien?
No, let's first do the guys we're talking about who could go with Maton, right? Mm-hmm. I've seen people talking about Ryan Helsley. Okay, that seems expensive for the Cubs, but he does throw hard. He would be more certainty in the bullpen, right? Even though the postseason didn't go great for him, his run with the Mets wasn't great, but like that is still a proven name. The interesting part about him is that MLB Network was throwing around the idea that not only are the Tigers looking at Helsley, the Tigers and other teams are looking at Helsley, possibly, wait for it, as a starter.
I read that. And
because he started offering up more pitch types when he was the Mets, that some of them saw it and said, well, wait a minute. What if we could get starter out of this guy? Now, personally, if I were the Cubs, that wouldn't be the solution I'm looking for to add to this certainty of my rotation. I would prefer to add the certainty in the bullpen. If I were gonna pay for him, I don't need to take the gamble on whether or not he's a starter.
Right, and does that fit exactly the mold or the philosophy of what we talked about with Jed? Of like they seem to love to turn the baby over every single year. So Ryan Helsley, there's a part of it, Luke, that feels a little bit like the agent also saying, hey, this guy could maybe be a starter, right? Like maybe there's word going around about Brad Keller, and maybe there are 2 or 3 year deals out on the table about a guy who could be a Swiss Army knife, the former Michael King version of, maybe he can start for you. Maybe he can close the game for you. Maybe he can pitch an 8th inning. Hey, my client Ryan Helsley can do that too. Just saying, just throwing that out there. So there's a part of that makes me
a little leery.
A little okay. And he was so bad in the second half that do you have to now kind of rehabilitate by saying he isn't just this dominant late inning guy? He can do a lot of other things with his stuff and get back to that stuff to get that deal done. I still think at the end of the day, we're looking at 1-year deals like Kyle Finnegan.
I'd still take him on the Cubs.
Yes.
We'll get to all the other stuff coming up in just a second. But first, a word from our sponsors at CHGO.
Hey, Cubs fans, our friends at Sunnyside Dispensary are here to elevate your football season. Sunnyside, it's your home for judgment-free shopping. They've got a crazy selection with over 100 different strains to choose from with easy online ordering and in-store pickup. Wherever you are in Illinois, Sunnyside has location for you. They've got spots as far south as Champaign and as far north as South Beloit. So stop in the store nearest to you for their expert guidance from their expert staff. You just have to visit sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off the first 3 online purchases. So enter code HICHGO at checkout to qualify, or for returning customers, you can use code CHGO50. And remember, exclusions apply. Sunnyside Dispensary, bright buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois medical card holders.
Toyotathon is on. Get your Toyota while the getting's good. Score value on the versatile RAV4, America's #1 selling vehicle. Ride with Tacoma, our rugged weekend warrior, or hit the road with Camrys available all-wheel drive. Red hot savings are ready for you at Toyotathon. Visit your Toyota dealer today. Toyota, let's go places. What a time this is in the history of our world to sign up and be a CHGO diehard.
Right now.
Is there a better time in life than right now?
Right now.
I don't think so. 8-3 Bears, unbelievable. Cubs, 2 rounds in the postseason. What?
Hello.
Connor Bedard, get access to our exclusive written content, a free t-shirt, plenty of discounts on future merch and events, sale coming, plus access to our CHGO Discord lounge where we all hang out and just have a little fun talking sports and more. Go to allchgo.com for the latest information on how you can join the thousands of sickos and diehards, affectionately, sickos and diehards already in our community. So the Cubs sign Phil Maton. He's the first piece to the puzzle.
He's
in the
baby.
Bullpen.
Locked him in.
First move of 2026.
He's ours.
I don't hate it.
I don't either. I don't mean to be.
I'm not going to say I love it, but I would say I'm optimistic about it. I think,
well,
whatever.
You know what's funny about it,
Sounds
Luke?
good.
Also is that I think this can be maybe an instructive lesson for Cubs fans where does it really matter what the order is of these transactions and acquisitions?
No.
As long as they are good players. I know, again, everyone is excited to hear news about some sort of big ticket name. And I saw some sarcastic comments of, well, Phil Maton, like the Cubs are really swinging for the fences. I don't think those are the same things. It's not the same.
No.
If you can get a guy that you like, go out and get him.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter the order.
What if he's your Theobar for this year? What if he is your Pomerantz for this year? What if he, whatever. Like, that's what you're looking for, a guy that you can count on in the bullpen. I don't think he's the closer. That's still Palencia for the moment. And I just hope the people around him now can make him even more effective. His uniqueness, as Brendan likes to talk about, like find guys that make that uniqueness even more special, right? Show me the gas. So we mentioned Helsley. Okay, I agree. I don't think he's really going to be a starter this year. But maybe that's an agent move. If Assad's agent could probably say the same thing, my guy could be a starter or he could be, sure. He's going to be a closer. Somebody's going to pay the guy to be their back-end guy. Now, Evan Phillips was brought up by The Athletic as a guy that the Dodgers let go and is coming off of Tommy John surgery. He had it in June. So Evan Phillips is a guy who would probably not be available until, if you're lucky, end of the season. Like, right? Like
that's usually a 12 to 18 month recovery time, right?
So if you're lucky in late August, he's starting to throw a little bit, and maybe you catch lightning in a bottle and you can use this guy the last month of the season, and maybe you get him in the postseason. That sounds very Cubbish.
Well, I'm not
going to lie. That sounds very Cubbish. Like, yeah, we'll pay this guy to rehab, and maybe it'll pay off for us big time. Or maybe we're just going to pay this guy to rehab.
Right. And then the other part about it is funny, right? That stalking isn't the right word, but sometimes the Cubs like to keep their eyes on transactions that happen with the Dodgers and don't happen with the Dodgers. I think Ryan Brazier last year, unfortunately due to injury, he never really got an opportunity to be ineffective. He was mostly just injured most of the season. They took a chance on that. We've talked about Michael Kopech. It's almost like Michael Kopech's almost the reverse.
I would rather have Kopech. No question about that.
But right, like Evan Phillips will walk into the year hurt. Can you extract something from him by the end of the year?
Yeah.
Michael Kopech he will hopefully walk into spring training healthy. How much can you extract from him before he possibly gets hurt? Because that unfortunately is the track record and MO when we're talking about just these two Dodgers pitchers. So he's an intriguing piece. And I'd be open to it because, again, not our money. No. But at the same time, if we were to acquire Evan Phillips with the lightest of pencil, would I be putting him in as a guy that can help us right away? Because you simply just don't know. And I just don't like walking into a season banking. Like we do this with the Justin Steele conversation. I love Justin Steele. I'm just not banking on him coming in and being Justin Steele right off the jump. I think the Cubs need to prepare in a bit of a different way to think that they're going to have regular season success.
And this surgery was after Steals, to be correct. Like,
correct.
Steals was much
This
earlier
was
in the year. So,
May.
but Phillips has been a successful reliever. And you say, well, why wouldn't the Dodgers hang around? Because the Dodgers have money to replace him with a guy that can pitch all year.
And there are reports that they're interested. They non-tendered
Sure.
him. They're interested in bringing him back, but clearly at a different rate because of the injury. So
they don't want to pay him to rehab. Maybe the Cubs will pay him a little more to rehab. Okay. I also think a guy that's like trying to rehab and come back from Tommy John, you're going to try and rehab from Tommy John. If I'm looking at it from his perspective, it's like, well, number one, I'd be looking at the team doctors and the physical training facilities for both and say, okay, where can I get better? But trying to get healthy, bounce back from Tommy John, and then find my way into whatever the Dodgers bullpen would be, will be probably more difficult. You don't know how injuries are going to play out for a team, but you do know that the Dodgers are going to spare no expense at filling their bullpen with the biggest names. Now, last year, they won the World Series, but it wasn't because of their bullpen.
No, not at all. I mean, if anything, they had to, Yamamoto's Exhibit A, they had to lean on their starters more than ever. Roki Sasaki was their closer towards the end of it. So I think at the end of the day, and I'm a big believer of it, you need depth out your ears, especially this day and age. And if it's the Cubs who are saying to themselves, maybe at the end of the day, we don't end up spending money on Imai. Maybe at the end of the day, we don't end up spending money on seats, which would disappoint me as a Cubs fan.
Yeah, me too.
You better be damn sure that you give me option after option after option of solid quality that you can at least turn to and go to throughout the course of the season, as you do definitely turn over this bullpen and, honestly, most of the pitching staff.
Joey brought him up. Did you hear the Imai drama?
No.
Do tell.
All right, so this is a little bit concerning for Cubs fans that wanted the Cubs to sign Imai. Let me just find it. Imai said,
I don't like Chicago.
Says he does not want to
Kate.
sign with a team that already has Japanese players. Imai, if there were Japanese people, they'd just tell you anything if you asked right. I don't want that. In a way, I want to experience that survival vibe, and when facing cultural differences, making how I overcome them on my own is one of the fun parts.
Okay, that's like the third kind of all right thing I've heard him say. The other one was not enough players hit for power and hit home runs in Japan. I want to face people and go power versus power. It's all right, man. Whatever you say.
Well,
that's what you think.
It's pretty clear now. We've got to trade Imanaga and Seiya by the start of the season.
Okay, so wait, that takes him out of the Dodgers.
Oh,
that takes him out.
Yeah,
it takes him off of the Mets.
Yeah.
The Yankees, I think, are good to go. He could probably sign with the Yankees.
Interesting.
What is?
I don't know what that's an odd comment.
That is an odd comment, and you always wonder about context and him obviously trying to present himself as someone that is supremely confident as an athlete and coming over.
That might be it. Yeah,
I can buy that. But again, I just don't know what that has to do with the formula. Why don't you just find the best team, or find a city that you know that you'll love.
But it's pretty clear that he's not coming just to hang out with fellow countrymen.
Okay.
That's what he's trying.
Yeah.
It might be what he's saying. He just might be saying, you know what? I'm not just here to come play with a couple of my fellow countrymen.
Right. And there was a narrative.
That's not going to draw me. Like money's going to draw me.
Yeah. What was it? A year ago, there was a narrative that I think has been debunked about Yamamoto, about how in Japan, they don't want to compete with other Japanese players on the same team. They would want their own market. And I remember that was floated around. And look, cultural differences, I'm not going to sit here and say that I understand them all, right? And part of it is being able to accept that and be like, okay, well, maybe that is a part of it. But I feel like that's been debunked over the last year and a half, where it doesn't really matter. I mean, it should just really matter about the situation on the field. But I do appreciate, Tatsuya Imai has an interesting confidence to him. Yeah. And I think he'd be a fun guy to root for, even though I do find that comment a little odd.
He also said something about not wanting to play with pitchers that were in shower commercials.
Oh, no. Oh, God.
That was
burn the tapes.
Too special. All right, we're still going to talk about the Nimmo trade in just a second, and we will get out our report cards for Pete Crow-Armstrong, Mr. 30-30 in a Cubs uniform. But first, we get ready to talk about some of the wonderful sponsors we have here at CHGO Cubs, because we're thankful for all of them, and they support us
deeply. All right, athletes, we've got a question for you. Are you serious about leveling up your game? Because the right coach can change everything, and now finding one is easy with EyeOnTheBall.net, the company created by CHGO diehards that were simply trying to find golf lessons for one of their daughters. Where do you go? Where do you find it? Well, now they connect coaches and athletes all day long, and it doesn't matter if your kid is just starting out or competing at the top level. You can sign up totally free at EyeOnTheBall.net. You just create your profile, search through coaches in your sport, and connect directly with one that's right for you. From soccer to swimming, baseball to basketball, who knows, maybe even pickleball, Eye on the Ball has got you covered, and the coaches are there for you. So what are you waiting for? Your future coach could be one click away. Jump on today at EyeOnTheBall.net. Remember, that is EyeOnTheBall.net to find your coach and take your game to the next level. Athletes, remember, EyeOnTheBall.net.
I could have been a real athlete. Instead, I'm here.
Could have been a contender.
Winter is here. Polar vortex on the way.
Oh.
Is your home's heating up to the challenge? I sure hope so. Now's the time to schedule your Four Seasons furnace tune-up. They guarantee same-day installation for all your heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical and generator needs. No extra charge for nights, weekends, or holidays. Save up to $4,000 on furnaces and comfort systems with Four Seasons heating, air conditioning, plumbing, and electric. Furnaces start at $39 a month. Combos with AC, $57 a month. Call today and you can save $50. And Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric has been serving our Chicagoland area for more than 50 years. Your trusted local experts. Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. Visit fourseasonsheatingcooling.com for all their special offers and money-saving coupons. That's fourseasonsheatingcooling.com. Don't get left out in the cold, shivering in your living room. The polar vortex is here. You've got to be ready.
Prepare.
Back on the CHGO Cubs podcast, it is Monday, and we're getting ready for Thanksgiving. We're also getting ready for the Cubs to start making some moves.
Yeah, man.
But guys we already have on the team, we are still finishing up the report cards, and we've saved some of the juicy ones for the end. Nobody likes a dry turkey around Thanksgiving. Nobody likes a dry report card. So here we are with Pete Crow-Armstrong.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Tale of two halves, right? Another one of the guys you can say, tale of two halves. It was so good, and then it was so, okay. Don't know which guy you're going to get. But we graded him in offense, defense, postseason, and overall. I'm going to start pretty simply with the offense, and I went A-. Now, I'm comparing him again to expectations, exceeding projections, what he was supposed to do this season. And then I'm also saying, all right, but now how does he stack up against other guys at his position or other guys in the outfield around Major League Baseball? I left it at a high, I think, A-. I don't see how you can do anything much lower than that. The guy was 30-30. Like, what? I don't care when it happened. He still hit 30 bombs, and he still stole 30 bases. And he was still, as an electric, a player that was out in Major League Baseball. So I can't go low. I know that the lows were low, and sometimes it looked like PCA was swinging at anything. He would swing at curveballs that were going to hit his feet. But there were also times where you were like, man, he's one of the three best players in baseball for a moment, right?
Yeah.
So I think his peaks were way higher than anybody expected his peaks to be in 2025. And the lows weren't any lower than anybody expected. So A- for the offense.
So I did go lower. I went a little lower.
That leaves me as captain positive again.
Captain positive indeed. I went B for PCA. But my overall grade of A- definitely harkens to a lot of what you mentioned, especially in the front. That when we talk about expectations, or even better, if we want to talk about Jed's projections, I think PCA exceeded both of those.
Yeah.
The 30-30 alone, nobody on the planet, I think, was earmarking PCA to do that. The part that I found to be so fascinating and interesting was, if you remember, the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season, he looked very much like the first half of PCA in 2024.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, maybe it was Dodger Stadium or something, but something clicked, and PCA ripped off 2.5 months of some of the most exciting, I can't believe he did it again, baseball that we've seen in this town in quite some time. It was definitely very similar to the player that he was traded for.
Yeah, big
the
time.
Javi Baez hot streaks were incredible. And in the first half of the year, I mean, it's obvious, right? He was a starter in the All-Star game, 265, 302 on base percentage, but 544 slug, 846 OPS. And the part about it that I found really fascinating was it was that thing where he started the season hitting somewhere in the lineup and slowly kept creeping up and creeping up and creeping up to the point where even Craig Counsell said, hey, can you hit leadoff for us for a couple weeks? And they went to New York and he hit a couple bombs from the leadoff spot. And he was a guy that you could count on day in and day out for that first half of the year. And unfortunately, whether it was the development or whether it was the league or whether it was Pete Crow-Armstrong's own immense talent, it caught up to him and posted a 634 OPS after the All-Star break, which is just a below-average player across the board. 700 is about league average. He was below that. So I like to think that we're going to get a version of that first half next year more than the second half. But again, we talk about it all the time, and this is why I went B for him offensively, is he has so much to unearth, and it isn't just power, but it is consistency and it is discipline at the plate, where it's like in that Superman movie, the Christopher Nolan Superman movie, where Superman's a young kid, and his senses, he's sensing everything too much to the point where it kind of drives his brain insane.
It's like me.
Yeah, just like you. And Diane Lane, the mom, is like, you have to try and focus and center all those things and channel your energy. That's really all PCA has to do now, is channel his energy and passion specifically on the offensive side to take the next step. But yeah, I went B for him on offense. Just because of the up and down nature a little bit. And again, just like the guy that he was traded for, Javi Baez, the strikeouts really piled up in the second half.
Big time. And by the way, didn't they both start the All-Star game in center field? Wasn't it Javi and PCA?
Javi definitely made the team. I'm trying to remember if he started. I think he might have started.
I think it was the two of them. And we had that meeting early in the season, and then we had the All-Star meeting where it was the juxtaposition of the two guys together. Second time I said juxtaposition in one podcast. That's a record.
Baby.
He was electric at times offensively. And if he can just, and we said this about Javi a million times, if he just lay off the wild, crazy stuff at his feet and just settle himself, I'm willing to give up 5 of those home runs at least.
Yes.
For him to be
for 20 points on the OBP.
Less roller coaster. Now, honestly, the way he started, it looked like he was going to hit 40.
You were right about the juxtaposition of Javi Baez being the American League center fielder compared to the juxtaposition of Pete Crow-Armstrong juxtaposing in the center field of the National League juxtaposition.
That's 5 times in one podcast. We're the juxtas. Anyways, on defense, I think we can all agree. The guy is elite. Now, Major League Baseball might not want to say, oh, we're going to go platinum. We're not going to go platinum. He's not the greatest player. Okay, it's a bunch of baloney. He's the best outfielder. He's the best defensive player in the game today, for my money. The only thing I can ever take any knock on PCA's defensive side is that sometimes he's overly aggressive to the point that the other outfielders seem like they don't know what to do.
They're scared.
He's covers so much ground that they're like, I've never seen this before. And they still haven't fully adjusted to it. But, I mean, he's an A. There's no way not to give him an A on defense.
Well, hold on, because you gave him an A, and you gave him an A.
Oh, you're not?
If he's the best, how is he not an A+?
Because
I understand that he could be better, but
it's not a real grade.
I never got I've got it for
well, then you're bad at school.
No. I did not do A+ for this specific reason, because the sickos that watched every single inning of every single Cub game, like people in the chat here, it wasn't like Pete Crow-Armstrong did not make mistakes in the outfield. It was not like he misjudged a couple fly balls along the way. It's not like he didn't forget how many outs there were in the middle of a game at some point last year during the season. And to your point, and I think that's the big one, is he is so fast and so good that when people were giving Kyle Tucker a hard time for coming up short on a fly ball, I said it on the show. I personally thought he heard the footsteps of a safety coming across the middle, and he was
stallion running across the field.
And I think he was worried that Pete Crow-Armstrong's shoulder was going to end up in his ear. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing, but it's something that you can work on and try and improve. And for a guy that can cover so much ground, I do believe a little bit in the theory that the right fielder and the left fielder, who's usually always Ian Happ, kind of maybe has to think twice on that 50-50 ball in the gap, because they know that Pete Crow-Armstrong is covering faster ground than they are. And that's why I didn't go A+. It wasn't like he didn't make mistakes. He did make a couple of mental, physical mistakes out there in the outfield. That's why I didn't go A+.
He did jump for a ball in Milwaukee that was out by like 100 feet.
And you're like, please, God, tell me you didn't hurt yourself.
I knock on wood, I don't want to put this into existence or even out into the universe. But if he keeps playing with that same, like, just, I'm going to get
reckless
it, which we
abandon.
love, reckless abandon, that we love. If he does that, there will be a collision in his career. I don't want that, but like, just harness it. It's just like the stuff at the plate. Harness it just a tiny hair, and it'll be perfect. Absolutely. Like, it's so close to perfect now. Harness it just a tiny hair, and it'll be absolutely perfect defensively.
The part that I like about what you're talking about that he does that I think helps him and will help him prevent injury is that when he is going for those gappers, he is really good at the feet first slide. In a lot of those cases, you'll see guys lay out, right? Yeah. And the layout can cause shoulder problems. There's a lot of different injuries that can happen when you go head first or hands first into a dive. He is really good at that feet first slide and then tries to catch it on his left hip or the right hip. And I do think that maybe helps him out a little bit too.
All right, so then we went postseason, and we all know that the back half wasn't nearly as good. Postseason, that's where I went C-. And I even thought about a D. Okay, I'll be honest with you. The guy hit 185 with 5 hits, 3 RBI in 8 games.
12 Ks and 27 at-bats.
12 strikeouts, 27 at-bats. In fact, I probably should definitely lower it to a D. But I was feeling optimistic. It was Monday, Thanksgiving's this week. I'm already thinking about the turkey and all that stuff. His on-base percentage was .214, and he stole 1 base. Now, the problem with that is his on-base percentage is .214, and the guy can steal bases, right? Like, I need that to be higher than .214.
Right.
I need that to be higher than .214. So even if he's not batting .300 in the postseason, which I would love to see, I still at least need him to get on base more than he did. And the strikeouts are the biggest problem in the postseason. Now, we're talking about an 8-game sample size. It's really hard to judge that compared to a whole season. So that's why I'm not giving this grade nearly as much value as the offense or the defense in the regular season, and why my overall grade is still really, really good, because even with the bad postseason and a second half, like you said, at the plate that was pedestrian almost at best, it's still some sort of A. No matter how you wrap it up, it's still some sort of A for me, because it was way beyond any expectation we ever had that it could possibly get that high. Like, I don't think I ever said to myself going into the season, PCA is going to be in the MVP conversation at the All-Star game.
He'll be a Silver Slugger finalist, along with being a Gold Glover.
I mean, he was
mic'd up in the All-Star game, banging a double off the wall during the, the Summer Classic.
Not just in the MVP conversation, legitimately in the MVP conversation at the All-Star break. It didn't go well after that. Maybe he got a little too full of himself with the home runs and he started thinking home run too much. I don't know. But I do have every confidence moving forward that Pete Crow-Armstrong will adjust this offseason just like he did some last offseason. He will find things, and hopefully that gap of highs and lows will start to level out a little bit, and we'll start to just get really good instead of the lows. Knock the lows out.
Yeah, when we talk about the postseason, I went a little bit higher. I ended up giving him a C+. And also, I agree with you. The C+ does not factor into my overall grade for the season of an A- because, again, 8-game sample size.
Yeah.
And again, this is a very young player. When you talk about those 8 games, we mentioned the 12 strikeouts and 27 plate appearances, the 1 stolen base. You know how many runs he scored in the playoffs? 0. Pete Crow-Armstrong did not cross home plate in the playoffs.
What?
It's true. Juxtapose that
I
with
swear
something
I
that maybe
watched the
Jackson
games.
Churio did.
I swear I watched the games and I didn't know that.
Well, so here's the thing, and the part that I gave him the plus on top of the C is that, yes, he struggled and he battled during that postseason, but, man, I'm giving him a plus just for that bases-loaded hit that he had against San Diego. I thought that was a huge base hit for a young player. And when we're going through all these things, offense, defense, overall, there are many, many layers to how we're interpreting this. One, it is gratitude and excitement that this player is on the Cubs and going to be on the Cubs for the next several years. The other part is the excitement, but also our encouragement of wanting to see this player maybe take it to another level. Yeah. There is more room to improve with Pete Crow-Armstrong. And when you get into that C+ in the postseason, it's just, I felt like if you want to have a developing player have a not a life lesson type of year, but just lessons of the game of baseball and what it takes, I think Pete Crow-Armstrong went through all of those this year, right? I think he went through the peaks, and I think he went through the valleys. And there was points last year where he would get up there and say, look, my job right now is just to play center field because I'm not offering anything offensively. He wrote that amazing op-ed letter to the Player Tribune about what it meant to be a Chicago Cub, what it meant to be a baseball player, watching the 2016 Cubs and what that felt like and what he's now a part of. Like, Pete Crow-Armstrong cares a lot. He cares a lot, which sincerely is a great thing to hear as a Cubs fan. Maybe he cares a little too much at times, right?
Yeah.
And it's about trying to and it's about trying to find that happy medium of providing yourself grace when times are low, but also maintaining that focus and passion to keep pushing to get better. And that's the tug and pull of not just life, but also professional sports. And that's what he's going through right now. So I felt like some of the warts and flaws in his game, I'm kind of happy that they were exposed this year, because moving forward now it's a testament to see, can he shrink those? Can he close those up?
Right.
And can he move forward and become the superstar that I think a lot of Cubs fans feel like that he's going to be?
Some of the home runs weren't even close to being strikes that he was swinging at, right?
Right.
And we see Joseph in the live YouTube chat here at the all-new CHGO Cubs YouTube channel. Hi to everybody that's been there today making great comments. Joseph says PCA can turn into a home run hitter, but until he has better plate discipline, he should be just happy with 20 to 24 homers.
Yes.
And being much more consistent.
Correct.
Higher average OBP.
Agree.
I would love to see that guy next year. Now, if it comes with 40 home runs, great. He's made the next big leap. But you can't look at 2 years ago and then last year and say, well, we didn't see progress. You saw incredible progress. It just came in like stock up, stock down, stock up, stock down. Like it was all over the place. But when you look at it overall, you see massive progress in 2025 from Pete Crow-Armstrong. Doesn't mean he's a perfect player. He's 23 years old.
Yeah.
There's so much room for him to still grow. And last year we thought, well, Justin Turner will be a great influence on him. You can't put a value on that. I don't know how much he leaned on him, but I know they had a close relationship. Who will be that player on the Cubs team next year that now sits with him and says, scale it back. Listen, once your reactions of slamming the helmet down after every single out start to just become throw the helmet
pretty
to the side
repetitive
and move on.
Pretty repetitive.
Once that starts to happen, you will start to feel yourself level out, and your game will level a little bit. You won't go through these massive peaks and valleys. It's a better way to go about it. He'll start to accept that. He's 23. Now, crazy I was at 23, crazier than that.
Yeah. I mean,
and I had no talent, I still don't.
I plead the fifth on that one. Yeah, he's 23 years old.
23.
And you mentioned it too as well, that like I think his plate coverage in the zone in terms of doing damage in the zone, I think is really impressive. And it almost is borderline to his own detriment, where he thinks that he can hit anything, anywhere, at any time for a 420-foot bomb. And I understand that talent allows you the opportunity to do that, but I also think that the reality of baseball will limit and hold back how effective that can be on a daily basis. And again, I'm all about him trying to get back to just getting back to the zone, the areas in the zone that he can be the most dangerous, and trying to be more selective in that area. And I think he will see that success. To that comment, if Pete Crow-Armstrong hits, I'll even go lower. If he hits 19 home runs next year, but his OBP goes up to 320 or even 330, if he scores over 100 runs and steals 40 more bags while giving you gold glove defense, I bet you will not miss those other 10 home runs. And he will be a better overall player for it, and the Cubs lineup will be a better overall offense for it.
What was his FWAR at the end of the season? What did it finish at?
It landed yeah, we need to just thank you,
Sorry,
Sean. Just look it up really quick.
That at you. I was just trying to,
I thought it landed in the low 5s, I thought, but at All-Star break he was at 6.
5.4.
Thank you.
5.4.
He was at 6 around the All-Star break, or like 5.8 around the All-Star break. He was on pace to possibly have like an 8 WAR season that only few Cubs have done over the last 40 years.
When the season started and the Cubs started playing sort of pretty well, I think it was one of our first YouTube shorts that I did, and it was PCA. And I said, oh, wait a minute. If this guy does the same things that we've seen so far, he's going to be a 6 WAR type player, and he will transform the Cubs lineup completely. He did, and it did. And then he started to regress a little bit, and that's when he dropped. But he's still, if you can get that player to be the player that he was in the first half, it's a totally different offense.
Luke, you love Zips. You're a huge analytics guy. You're always pushing us to think towards the future.
Zippy. People have called me Zippy before.
They call you Zippy. We continually call you Zippy. Zips had PCA projected to be a 3.4 FWAR player before the year. Yeah. They had him projected to hit 16 home runs, have a weighted runs created plus of 102. Wow. So easily surpassed his preseason.
You got to give him an A-. Forget the postseason. Not that it didn't happen, but it was 8 games.
31 stolen bags too.
Yeah, exceeded that. I mean, look, and I think we're going to have great expectations for him next year. So we got about 10 minutes to go in the show. So I want to ask you 2 things before we get to the Nimmo Semien thing. Well, so the first one, you can answer whichever one you want.
Chocolate.
First one is, where do you predict PCA will spend the most of the time in the batting order next year? And if you were to give Pete Crow-Armstrong an extension today, what do you think that number is?
I think he wants at least $200 million.
Okay.
And where do I think he will bat? I mean, it depends on who they replace, if they replace Kyle Tucker in the lineup, right? Like, now all of a sudden the 2-hole is open. It's not the craziest thing that I've ever heard of. If I still want my best players hitting, who's gonna be that person? Is it gonna be Seiya? Is it going to be...
Yeah, if it's Michael Busch 1, Seiya Suzuki 2, who is the 3rd hitter? Who is the 4th hitter? Who is the 5th hitter in this lineup right now? I kind of think
PCA is probably your number 3 hitter, which is a lot of strikeout potentially there. But I want my 3 best players in those first 3 hitters. And I think there's a really, 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 really good chance he's one of those guys. Now, is the team going to be better if you could slide him down lower? Yeah, but how much lower are you going to be? You're already going to have Dansby down there. You're already going to have Carson Kelly down there. You're already going to have probably Matt Shaw down there somewhere. So he's already up towards the top 2/3 of the lineup. I wouldn't be shocked if he's batting 2 or 3 next year.
Yeah. If you found out the Cubs offered Pete Crow-Armstrong a 9-year deal for $220 million, are you on board with that? And do you think Pete Crow-Armstrong says yes? Take him into his year 32 season.
He's so confident in himself, but how does somebody...
And the AAV would... That's just over $20 million. So that's Pete Crow-Armstrong, $20 million almost every single year for the next 9 years.
I bet you it would have to include an opt-out somewhere where he could say, I'm way more valuable than this.
After 4 or 5.
Yeah, but again, you have to take in consideration that he's not even an arbitration-eligible person, so he doesn't even have that much leverage right now. You're saying 20 per year right now. Like, you don't want to give him $20 million right now. I don't know. I mean, Billy Taylor was one of the first guys to comment. He said, until he proves that the first half wasn't a fluke, an extension would be stupid. I feel like they kind of missed out on the boat. You had to sign him before this year, before he had the 6 WAR first half, because now that 6
once he got a taste of
first WAR half is what that agent wants.
It was in the 160 to 180 range last year when those rumors had leaked that they were possibly talking about locking up Pete Crow-Armstrong. And Sean, I'm actually in lockstep with you, where I love Pete Crow-Armstrong, but I would really love him to just do it again. I would love to see him just do it again. Now, if he does it again, I think we can rip up that 9 for 220 because it will be more than that. But again, I'm also kind of like, I'm sitting here. I know we keep talking about Schwarber and we keep talking about signing all these big guys, but like, what if the Cubs offseason is extending Crow-Armstrong and Michael Busch and like that's it? And the rest is all fringe around the thing. And they're like, well, we've locked up our core. I'm preparing myself for that.
Don't we agree that PCA would be 200 though, at least? If he's going to actually accept it, it would have to be at least 200 in my mind.
Right, because it's like the Jackson Merrill deal with the tax of what today's market in dollars are asking for. And off the top of my head, I feel like Jackson Merrill's was 187 or something along those lines. So he's probably a $200 million player.
I don't think it's happening this offseason.
I don't either.
For that simple reason. He's going to want at least $200 million, and ownership will look at it and say, we've never given out $200 million to one player. Why would we give it out to a guy who's proven it for a half a season?
Merrill, 135. You also saw Merrill's second season. Nothing like, wow, you have to extend that guy.
No, hamstrings and came back and wasn't great.
Plus, they're all about saving money. Right? Like, I mean, they got time to still do that. I know the price tag gets more and more expensive the older he gets.
If you're gonna convince ownership though to go over 7 years on a player, it probably would be a 23-year-old. I'm talking this through. I don't think they should do it personally. I would like to see Crow-Armstrong do one more year because again, it's not my money, and if the price goes up, then at least you're getting that bankable quantity that Crow-Armstrong is now a superstar here to stay all the way through to the 2032 Cubs. Yes,
my faith would be under 50%. That it happens this offseason.
Real quick, I do want to give a shout out to Corey. He's been on fire in the Toyota comments section. Corey saying, now we just need the CHGO Cubs Sox cover song titled Zip It to Devo's Whip It.
Zip it. Zip it.
Zip that good.
Zip it real good.
3.4.
Hey, real quick before we go. So the Nimmo
exchange
for Semien. Now what the Mets have is Lindor and Semien, 2 gold glovers up the middle.
Better than ours?
Oh, wow. That's a good conversation.
That was my question.
I would say yes. I
Can I take
Lindor,
Nico?
I think Lindor is better than Dansby.
Yeah, can I take Nico over Semien?
Yes,
and can I take Lindor over Dansby?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I don't think there's any question that at its peak offensively, Lindor is so much higher than Dansby that I would say that. But they're doing it for defense. They're doing that for defense. And then how does it impact it? I saw some people suggesting, I think it was Morosi saying, listen, this could mean Cody Bellinger. Mm-hmm. This could mean Cody Bellinger to the Mets, who was already a good fit there. And then when one of their top prospects comes up and takes over in the outfield, they would move Bellinger to first base and not pay Pete Alonso.
See, when I saw that deal, if they're willing to pay Semien, you're just going to let your franchise home run leader walk? That just sounds like, Uncle Steve's showing you, I'm not messing around. I am willing to be match any deal, but you're not going to get over market deal. I think he's ready to pay whatever the Red Sox are willing to pay Pete Alonso, and maybe even a little bit more to sign the polar bear.
Yeah, I agree with you that it just, whatever it is, they wanted to shorten the years. They're willing to keep playing a certain player at that high AAV. They just wanted to shorten the years that they want to pay him because clearly they want to either bring back Alonso or it could be somebody else that replaces those Nimmo years. Because I think Nimmo still had over $100 million or something like that left on his deal. Semien only has 2 years left on his deal. Semien's 35 years old. Offensively, he's been a total downturn, but again, defensively, they got a whole lot better. So you would think that there's another move coming, and maybe it is in-house, as Sean is saying, with Alonso.
I was hanging out yesterday with my buddy Dave Mutnick, big Mets fan, and he wasn't too excited about it. He wasn't too excited about the deal, and I was like, well, wait and see what it leads to. It's clearly a reshuffling of the deck, but you know that they're going to still spend tons of money. So now, how do they spend that money and how do they change the team? Defensively, up the middle, there's no question they're better.
No, and it's curious, too, from the Rangers' perspective, you can tell that they are trying to reduce their payroll, which is, again, another good thing for the Cubs, where some people would be like, well, why didn't the Rangers want Maton back? I think they're trying to reduce payroll. I think they're trying to slash a little bit. The Nimmo thing is a lower AAV but longer years, but you get out of the Semien thing for the next couple. So, I don't know who wins the trade because, again, I think
bigger deal 2 years ago.
I feel like the Rangers, they had some guys that they liked, they had a Will Langford and Evan Carter, and maybe this is just replaces Adolis Garcia for them in the outfield.
Yeah,
but again, I think there's more moves coming for the Mets, and I don't think it's Kyle Tucker. I think it's Pete Alonso.
By the way, both players, I believe, waived no trade clauses to
Interesting.
make this happen. So
You're
they
saying
both like the team they were going to.
It can be done.
And it can be done if you can convince the player to take it.
Fascinating.
Will that happen on the north side of Chicago? Some people are begging for it, but we do have corner outfielders with no trade clauses. We'll see if that impacts anything coming up. Tomorrow's podcast, I believe we have one Jared Willis coming into the studio. Jared's going to be here, so we will have 3 chairs in Studio C. Is that what we're calling it now? We're Studio C?
Yes, he did. It's an immaculate inning.
What was
Studio
that?
5.
I was just trying to play sound effects. I saw a yeah buddy one and I forgot it was Striffen.
Okay.
It's also like a 9-second clip where he talks about like
Thanks
announcing the immaculate inning.
I was
It's
like,
like,
Billy
what is this?
Williams.
I'm
I was
sorry.
like, what is this? Who is this guy? Well, I've never listened to a Sox game, so there you go.
They're working.
We had fun. We had fun grading PCA. We both ended up with A-, right?
Correct.
Looking for the A++ coming in 26. A++.
If that happens, game on. And you know what? It's nice to be thankful. Between the Cubs and the Bears, 100 wins this year.
Don't forget, this week we'll
How about
include the Thanksgiving
about
Day
that?
draft. Get ready for that. Make your plans. Empty your stomachs.
Team Yams.
Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota. We're back tomorrow at 2 o'clock with Jared Willis. Until then, thanks for watching, and don't forget, fly the W.
We all silly like the mayor.